Careblazer, if you have anxiety, you definitely want to listen to this video. A groundbreaking research study was recently published, and it creates a link between anxiety and possible increased dementia risk. But there is good news. I'm going to share it all and break down the study. In fact, I have the study pulled up right here so that I can give you all the details, and I'm linking the full article in the description below. So if you want to go through and read all the ins and outs about what the researchers did, it's totally free for you to download below as well. But let's dive into this summary between the link between anxiety and dementia. First, let's start with some context. Anxiety is incredibly common. It's estimated that around 40 million adults in the United States experience anxiety. And if you are a caregiver, that number is higher. About 70% of caregivers experience anxiety, dementia caregivers to be exact. So here's what this research study found, and I'm going to be citing exactly from the research. It was conducted in Australia, and it was a long-term study that involved over 2,000 people between the ages of 55 years old and 85 years old. They followed these individuals for 13 years, tracking their anxiety levels and whether or not they eventually developed dementia. Here's what they found. Chronic anxiety, meaning people with persistent anxiety, had almost 3 times increased risk of developing dementia compared to those who did not have anxiety. Now, new onset anxiety, meaning those who developed anxiety during the course of the study, had an even higher risk, over 3 times more likely to develop dementia compared to those who didn't develop anxiety. But here's an interesting finding. Age really matters. For people who were under the age of 70, the risk was even greater. For these individuals, chronic anxiety increased dementia risk by 4.5 times, and new onset anxiety increased the risk by over 7 times. Meaning, if the individuals in the study were under the age of 70 and they developed new anxiety, they were over 7 times more likely to develop dementia than those who did not develop anxiety. Okay, now these numbers might sound alarming, but there is a silver lining. The study found that for the individuals whose anxiety was identified and then treated, their increased dementia risk went away. They were not at increased dementia risk. Basically, their risk was just like somebody who had never had anxiety. So this is really good news for caregivers. We know that caregiving can be incredibly stressful, and there are lots of things that we worry about and get anxious about. But this study, besides telling us that anxiety can increase dementia risk, it's also telling us that treating that anxiety pretty much, gets rid of that increased risk. It pretty much brings you back down to somebody who has never had anxiety. So identification of anxiety and treatment of anxiety is incredibly important. Now, this study didn't go into details about what type of treatment every single person received who had their anxiety treated. But I will tell you, as a clinical psychologist, cognitive behavioral therapy for anxiety is incredibly successful and worth asking about and pursuing if you are somebody struggling with anxiety. So what does this mean for you, especially if you're feeling a bit nervous? Number one, early intervention is key. If you are currently experiencing anxiety, and especially if you are under the age of 70, do not wait. Please talk to your healthcare providers about this and seek treatment, preferably some sort of talk therapy like cognitive behavioral therapy. And the other point is to truly take note, Careblazer. If you are caring for somebody with dementia, your mental health is just as important. Your brain health is literally relying on your mental health. Now, besides cognitive behavioral therapy, pretty much the gold standard when it comes to anxiety, there are other things to do to help with anxiety, which include things like exercise, meditation, possible medication, maintaining social connections, making sure you're getting enough sleep. Okay, and here's a really big takeaway that I feel also needs to be addressed. This study found that the people they followed over that 13 years, their dementia risk increased when they had, either newly onset anxiety or chronic anxiety. However, that is not saying that it is for sure anxiety is going to increase your risk. It's saying there's a connection there. It's not saying for sure it's causing it. There could be so many other factors at play that the study didn't pick up on or measure. And that's why whenever a groundbreaking study like this does come out, it's really great that now we'll start to see other clinics and researchers try to replicate the study and try to see if they get similar results and try to tease apart, is there anything else we're missing or we didn't notice? Please take care of your own mental health, Careblazer. It is literally not selfish. It's literally caring for your life. Anything you do to improve and better and care for your life is going to have a benefit to your loved one with dementia. Don't delay on getting the help that you need. I would love to hear your thoughts on this study. If you are somebody who's interested in more support and working through those really difficult emotions in a loving community of other Careblazers, including myself and other dementia experts, I really invite you to check out our Care Collective program, where we come together every week for support groups to answer questions. We have programs on how to feel better, on how to reduce anxiety, on how to have a better relationship with your loved one with dementia. You think it, you name it, we've got it. It's all inside of the Care Collective, and you can learn more about that program in the description below this video, as well as download the full article I referenced below the video. All right, I'll be back next week with a new video. Remember, Careblazer, if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button on your screen. It's totally free, and it communicates to YouTube that videos like this are helpful for people like you. And YouTube will then go find a Careblazer currently out there in the world trying to look for help and information on dementia and does not know that I exist yet and that this channel exists yet. That's why that's incredibly important. I'm sending you and your loved one and your families so much love. I'll be back. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free, and Nico says thank you very much.